So yesterday I done the first quarter of the PDC World Darts Championship and what I think was going to happen in the PDC World Darts Championship for the first quarter. Now it is time to have a look at the second quarter and break down each of the quarters to pretty much discuss what I think is going to happen. So in the first one, Jim Williams against Norman Madu, with the winner taking on Peter Wright. I've gone Jim Williams. No disrespect to Norman, I literally have no idea on who he is or anything like that. I know it's disrespectful a bit, but I just haven't heard his name. I think Jim Williams wins that one. Radek Sagansky, Marco Cantelli, the winner plays Raymond van Barneveld. I just think Sagansky has been really solid this year. The Pro Tour, won a Pro Tour, the Euro Tour as well. I think he gets over the line against Marco Cantelli and sets up that tie with Barneveld. The second section then, of the second quarter is Matt Campbell against Lawrence Ilagan. I think this one's going to be a really good game. Like I said, both of these are flamboyant. They like to show off. They're very, sort of outgoing on the stage, and they do produce good darts to follow it. I've gone Matt Campbell to beat Lawrence Ilagan. I think the experience and the know-how of Matt Campbell gets him over the line. But every tournament Lawrence Ilagan is in, I enjoy watching it. He's just so outrageously, bouncy and bubbly. He's got that real bubbly sort of personality, and I think that will carry him a long way in the sport. But I do think Matt Campbell gets over the line. And then the second one in this section is Andrew Gilding. The winner will play, or Andrew Gilding plays the winner of Christian Kist versus Luke Littler. Again, Kist has had a good year. It's not, very often that many people would say that, because he's normally just, when he's on the tour, he doesn't really do much. But he's had a couple of good runs, and Luke Littler, obviously the World Youth Champion at the moment. I think Luke is going to have too much. He's just won the World Youth Championships. He's going to have that, excitement, that fearless attitude. And I think he gets over the line to set up that tie with Gilding. This one then is the next section of this quarter. Gerwyn Price will play the winner of Krzysztof Tkachuk against Connor Scott. I've gone Connor Scott to beat Gerwyn Price. Not to beat Gerwyn Price, to beat Krzysztof Tkachuk, to play Gerwyn Price. I think this one's going to be interesting. Like I said, a lot of these first round ties are really intriguing. Some of them are 50-50, flip of a coin. But I just think the high scoring of Connor Scott is going to get him over the line. Tkachuk has been a very solid player all year round, though, to be fair to him. Brendan Dolan then will play the winner of Mickey Mansell or Zhao Cheng Zong. I think this one is going to be very straightforward win for Mickey Mansell. I don't know too much about Zhao Cheng Zong at all, to be honest. So I've got Mickey Mansell to win and set up a really intriguing game against the history maker Brendan Dolan. And the last section of this quarter then, Keegan Brown against Boris Krcmar. The winner will play Dirk van Duvenbode. Boris Krcmar obviously played Dirk recently at the World Championships. Last set decider, I believe, settling that one in the end. And I think Boris is a very capable player. We saw the high scoring, the aggression, everything is there with Boris Krcmar, but he does also have the good doubling and the good scoring as well. And I just think he's going to have way too much for Keegan Brown, and that will be a fantastic tie, Dirk van Duvenbode against Boris Krcmar. The last game of this quarter then is Gary Anderson will play the winner of Simon Whitlock or Paulo Nabrida. Like I said, I don't know too much about a lot of these players, or quite a few of these players. I've never heard of Nabrida in my life. So I am going to go for a straightforward win for the Wizard of Oz, Simon Whitlock, to set up that 2010 classic, you should say, against Gary Anderson. Let's have a look at the last 64 in this quarter. Moving on to the last 16 then, I've gone for Peter Wright against Jim Williams, and I've gone for Snakey to get over the line. I think Peter Wright is so consistent at the World Championships. Yes, he does have, the odd bad performance where, we're talking about that game that he nearly actually got eliminated. Was it Asada? I can't remember who he nearly got, beat by. So there is the odd slip up in Peter Wright. Obviously, he's lost to Gabriel Clemens here before, but I do think that he's going to have a good run at this tournament. I've got him to beat Jim Williams. Raymond van Barneveld against Radek Sagansky. I've gone for Barney. I just think the crowd love Barneveld. He loves the World Championships. He's a 5-time winner of the World Championships. I think that sort of stature and the fans' favourite sort of element will get him over the line. James Wade against Matt Campbell. Again, this one's a really interesting one. Matt Campbell can score really well, but, you know, James Wade, you give him a chance at like double 10, he's taking it. So I do think James Wade gets into the last 32. I think he beats Matt Campbell. It may end up, you know, quite convincing, but I think James Wade gets into the third round. And then this one, Andrew Gilding, Luke Littler. You've already seen it. I've gone for Luke to get through this one. I think Luke Littler beats Andrew Gilding to set up a mouth-watering last 32 game against James Wade. I think Luke is just in a fantastic place right now. World Youth Champion, like I mentioned earlier. But not just that, he's got so much experience for such a young age. And he's going to come to this World Championships with no fear. And he's going to really attack the World Championships. I think he's going to beat Andrew Gilding. And the second section then of this draw in terms of the last 64 progressing into the last 32, I think Gerwyn Price comfortably beats Connor Scott to set up a game against Brendan Dolan, who I think comfortably gets through Mickey Mansell. We'll talk about Gerwyn Price first. I think he's, again, and one of the favourites to win this tournament. I think he's going to go deep. And I think it is going to be pretty comfortable. He normally starts off slowly in the first couple of rounds. Like, if he's going to win this tournament, you know, if he starts slow against Connor Scott and then even Brendan Dolan, don't discredit him, because sometimes he does start slow in tournaments and really builds up that sort of momentum and steam. So I think he gets past Connor Scott. And Brendan Dolan, Mickey Mansell is a really good one. I think Brendan Dolan will just have enough. But, you know, Mickey Mansell is no mug. Mickey Mansell is a player that could easily knock out Brendan Dolan. I've gone for the history maker, though. I just think he'll have enough. Dirk van Duijvenbode against Boris Krcmar. Now, this is one of my first shocks of the World Championships. I've gone Boris Krcmar to beat Dirk van Duijvenbode. I think the injury to Dirk, the bad form, the inconsistency, he's going to get caught out. And I think when he starts missing doubles, he gets aggressive and he starts, you know, losing his head a little bit. And I generally think that's where Boris Krcmar can take a full advantage and beat Dirk van Duijvenbode. Last game of the quarter in the last 64, heading into the last 32, is Gary Anderson against Simon Whitlock. Now, if this was 3-4 years ago, you'd fancy Whitlock to maybe take this, but, you know, Gary Anderson is in the form of his life at the moment. You know, 4 or 5 months ago, if you would have told me Gary Anderson would be a seed for the World Championships, I would have laughed, because I just wouldn't have seen it. Some people were saying he wouldn't even be inside the top 32, in a few months' time, but Gary has had a resurgence like the Flying Scotsman. He charges on, he steams on, and I think Gary Anderson beats Simon Whitlock in this one. The lack of game time recently from Whitlock and the lack of, TV game for Whitlock is going to get him unstuck in this one. Gary Anderson to beat Simon Whitlock. If you have enjoyed these predictions from quarter two, please make sure to like and follow, subscribe on YouTube as well. Make sure you let me know your predictions in the comment section down below, and wait for tomorrow to see quarter three and my predictions for that. Thank you for watching.